I was just thinking, like, with your career, you're chasing something that's extraordinary. Acting. I wouldn't know how to touch that area like you do, but being an actor, being a father, being in relationships, how has that affected your mental health, and what is it? What does it do to you essentially? Because I would love to know.
Um, it could take a toll, bro. Like, never mind just being in the profession I do, just being a man. Period. Especially if you're a family guy. For me, like, this suffering with anxiety, man. It's probably been longer than that. On a professional level, acting wise, going on 9 years right now, but all my life, I would say that dealing with the family and feel like things ain't going the way I envision it to go.
Right.
We always, they say that, you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans, things. But I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be in this position. And then when it don't go that way, then, you suffer from that vulnerability of just, I hate to say the word, but it's like that weakness in you.
Right.
For me, it was definitely damaging. I started questioning myself, started questioning who I am as a person, as a father, as a son, just as a man, period.
Right.
And when you have children, man, your children look up to you. You expect your children to look up to you, and if you're not following up and becoming that provider, that leadership, that that your father or any father figure in your life taught you how to do, then you feel like you're failing. You're failing them. And I've been feeling like that I have been feeling like that for a while. It got to the point to being kind of detrimental and whatnot, man. It's like, I thank God for just going to therapy, bro. Like, I used to have like the anxiety attacks, nervous breakdowns, and just feeling like just quitting, bro. And it takes a toll, health wise and everything. Like, feeling weak and it just feel like you're going to, cave in any day now. It took me a lot, man. Even going through my therapy, it's like a workout. You're working out your memory, you're working your mind in order to gain that strength to get out of that dark space.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Being that I remember you had talked about just being that, being the Debbie Downer, man, and having that dark cloud around you.
Yeah.
Which you cut yourself and you bleeding off people who haven't done anything to you.
Right.
And with me, in my case, dealing with my friends and family, like, I could be in the mood and I could be in the good spirits, and then one little thing mishap, I'll think about something in the past that may not even be affecting me in my current state.
Mm-hmm.
I'll think about it, and then they'll just turn me. The switch just turned, and I just start bleeding on everybody, and it's like, for what? Because the people who around you haven't done anything to you, and they love you, and they support you. But for me, if things ain't going the way I was expecting to go, then I take it out on people.
Right.
Most people would take it out on them physically or verbally. My way, I was doing how I used to be doing things. I would just stand my distance. I was moody or being short with people, and bad attitude. And it just took a lot of people. I've caused a few friendships to end because of my wrongdoings, man. Because of just not handling my situation the way I should be, the way I'm doing it now.
Would you say the change was, of course, sad part about having that type of issue is that the change usually comes when something really bad happens.
Yes.
And then you go look for help, right?
Yes.
Because, therapy, which I'm glad you say you deal with it, it's a proactive manner. But a lot of us get into therapy reacting.
Right.
You know what I mean? We if you look at any situation, a regular relationship, most people who even have conversations only have conversations when stuff goes bad.
Right.
If you compare it to just let's talk when things are good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And getting ahead of everything and getting to the point where, especially when you go into therapy and you're starting to have conversations, because therapy, they're not a doctor that fixes you. They're just a person who gives you a compass that aims you a certain direction.
That's right.
You have to do the work, essentially.
That's right.
And then it becomes a proactive thing. And then you start having conversations with people around you and start mending situations. Mm-hmm. But just to double back on what you said, even the fact that you were bleeding out on people. You bleed out on people who are closest to you because we're the most connected to you.
That's
so,
right.
You're chilling with your lady, whatever, and your attitude's off, and you think that she doesn't know it. The problem is that when you create bonds with people, you create an energy between them, and by doing so, we can feel it, and we're like, and then when you hear a person denying that feeling that it's obviously there, we're more irritated at the fact that like, yo, obviously something's wrong. I'm here to help, but. Oh, nothing wrong. Like when something's clearly wrong, you get what I'm saying? So it's like it's an awkward conundrum to be in when a person is going through something because we really want to help you, but then again, being a man, it's not practiced to communicate and express yourself, especially our weakness, because when you put out your vulnerabilities to people, and especially in society, it's frowned upon. Or you looked at as being weak when it's actually strength in expressing yourself. Exactly. It's strength to be aware of your emotions. We're biologically supposed to be hunters. We're biologically supposed to conquer. We're biologically supposed to be logical and to manage and push a family forward. And you cannot do it just with an iron fist. You have to be powerful, but also be soft enough to comprehend and be aware and have that aptitude to understand mentally where you are.
Right.
Because, you look at an airplane pilot. If your airplane pilot takes off and says, hey, we're going to have a little bit of turbulence, let's see how it goes. You're going to be like, wait, what? Other than, hey, we're going to have a little bit of turbulence, the seatbelt sign comes on, we'll get through it, guys. Like, that's leading something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we do with our families. We don't actually know all the answers. We really don't. But they expect us to, like, figure them out at some point and lead through the storm.
But not to cut you off, but it have you wondering, like, us growing up as children, some of us who grew up with fathers in our lives, not even just, or may not have grew up with fathers in their life, but had that father figure. We were taught that, being a man, to stand on business, to handle things. I think all of us done heard that,
Absolutely.
Boys don't cry and stuff like that. So hiding that emotions, all that's just a buildup, man, which causes you to have these type of outbursts and stuff like that.
It's generational.
Physically or mentally, verbally. So it's like you have to, I know for sure that that's degrading myself as a man, that for me to, to be that vulnerable, to show my emotions to people. I've never was that guy that did not show my emotions, but at the same time, I would. My issue I was dealing with, far as not so much opening myself up for help and support, because I felt that I didn't want to be too much of a burden with people, because I knew everybody goes through things. Everybody got their own stuff they're dealing with. Right. So me thinking that I don't want my problems to overlap with y'all got going on. And at the same time, it's like, you shouldn't even think that as well. I mean, if those friends are truly for you and want to be for you, it shouldn't matter. Rather, they got things going on. It's all about the love and support. My problem is I always just wanted to feel the love, because I see myself so much in other people, and sometimes some people don't do the same thing that you do, and that would take a toll on me, because now you thinking to yourself that nobody cares for me, nobody is really there for me, physically, mentally, spiritually,
Right.
so to speak. So you feel like you're alone on this ride.
Right.
And really it's not. You're just not giving the people who say who love you, to give them the opportunity to
Exactly
help you steer that boat.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's exactly it. Especially with mental health. As men, we tend to isolate ourselves.
Yes.
We
lot.
put up our own walls and then feel something because nobody's able to. We're not letting people be there because we have this idea. I think it's generational trauma. Really, you know what I mean.
It is,
and it's something that has to be broken. And also, even if it's not being taught, it's our responsibility, especially when we become fathers, to figure this out.
Right.
Because we have to be able to give that little boy or little girl that energy to sprout and to be great and be everything they need to be, essentially. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
I would think that, again, the start is, of course, if you don't have nobody to talk to, go to counseling. But if you have somebody to talk to, somebody who's close to you, who's constantly telling you, and this is any guy who's saying, talk to me, talk.
Right.
There's actually a lot more strength in expressing yourself and getting things off than not. But I would say one thing that people get confused, and I had this one issue, is I don't set expectations of people to, when I explain something to them, to all of a sudden be like, you're right. It can't be set like that. Because if it's set like that, that person doesn't give it to you, then in your mind, you wasted your time. You like, see, you're against me. Like, you know,
right.
If I speak, especially if somebody who brought trauma to me, or I'm speaking from a stance for myself and for myself only. Because you're responsible for you. You own yourself. You own your thoughts. You own your body. Yeah. And again, counseling is you working the muscle. It's your muscle. So the more you work that muscle, you flex that muscle, you learn how to, get that mental fortitude in order to be able to deal with issues going forward. And also
strengthen that muscle.
But also with the person you're talking to, when you seem more balanced, then they'll respect you a bit more. He's not confused. He's going through something. I know it, but he's aware of it. He expressed it to me. He told me what's going on. Okay, now you got your partner in crime, because they don't feel like you're talking at them. You're talking with them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're not built to. I think that's the reason why we're also supposed to have a partner. Because especially for a guy, and you know this for a fact. Anybody knows this. You know this. When you bare your heart to a woman, or you put your shield down, and this is for everybody, and she does not respect you putting that shield down in that moment when you put it down, you will never put it back down again for her. Right. You'll never do it again. Right. Like, ladies, please understand this. If a guy expresses himself to you and you do not respect it, or you play with them or make him seem small when he already is, made himself vulnerable, you will never have that man back in your life. That's right. You will never have him back, ever. 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 And that's a real thing. That's also, you have to be mindful of our partners. If our partner's not giving us what they need, you know what I'm saying? Because the person you're supposed to be with, you're supposed to be able to give yourself and be vulnerable to. Both of you have to be vulnerable. I'm laying my shield down. A woman naturally has to lay her shield down in order to walk through her femininity. Yes.
You must pour into your her
we
cup.
Have to lead.
Same thing she should be pouring into your cup.
So if we lead with masculinity, then her femininity flourishes. Right. Our masculinity is based off of us being balanced and being concise and being straightforward and knowing where we stand. But we're all human fucking beings. So sometimes I'm going through it. I need somebody to tell me, look, you got this. Just tell me you got this. Bro. You don't gotta say nothing else but you got this. That's it. And I'll be like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I just need to hear that from you.
It's our energy boost. It's like putting that battery in our back.
Absolutely.
We know that you can't carry the load that we carry, but it's just hearing those words, those words of just knowing that
affirmations. That's it.
Affirmations.
I need the affirmation. I think every man piece of the love language is affirmations. Yes. We want a woman to be like, I look at it like a relationship, or even whatever situationship you're in. I look at it like, I think we're the boat, right? We're sailing. Right. And our women's our anchor. Without an anchor, you're lost at sea. When waves get too wild, if you don't have an anchor to stop you in place, you're lost at sea, literally. And the anchor has to be so strong to stop the largest boat. It's powerful. It's powerful in its own. The boat, and now if the boat loses anchor, it can crash through everything. Because we're strong, we're powerful. We need somebody who can stop us in place.
Right.
And then that stop, let's just get reconnected. Like, oh, I know I'm going that. And we move forward.
Yeah.
So we also need to have that balance with our partner for our mental health as well. We have to be mindful as men of who we allow inside of our lives. Because our woman has to be our biggest cheerleader. Our woman has to be our anchor. Our woman has to be that person we can look over to when shit gets rough. The same way we have to be the person. We all have positions. I think too much also when it comes to mental health is that we pick people for the wrong reasons.
That's right.
Or we bring the wrong people in our lives for the wrong reasons. Stand on, like you said, stand on business. We need to live by rules. Be disciplined for what it is. You go through something with a woman, she says, I ain't gonna deal with that. I'm gonna walk away. It's hard for a man to say that, I'm gonna walk away. Cause we worry about another dude trying to get up.
Right. It's so double standards, man.
And we're worrying about the wrong stuff.
Right.
When we should be worrying about the fact that we have a very important position. And especially for our kids' lives. Because if we're not balanced, that kid's not balanced. They probably having problems in school. They ain't acting right. If you see a household mixed up, you see a kid acting crazy in school, I guarantee his household's not in order.
Right.
Because it's our job.
And he's not being taught correctly because he doesn't have no one there. Rather, it's somebody there physically in the household. The person he's still not having nothing right there because the person who's raising you don't have it in him to spill to help raise you. They just there.
And that's the problem with our community now.
Yeah.
Because at one point in time it was a village. We had people everywhere. We had that school program. You know what I mean?
Right.
We had the counselor we had our basketball coach, a football coach, we had our teachers. We had so many adults and people trying to put us in the right position where we had no choice but to get from somewhere.
Right.
It was somebody we reached out to. You know, my father was there for the most part, but he also was in the military for a while. And when he was gone, I remember a time I couldn't figure out. I didn't even know I had a problem where I was at school. I was in summer camp. There was a particular school counselor, and I connected them. Like I was just connected. And when summer school was over, not summer school, summer camp was over, like I was really emotional. I was just like, I don't know what my problem was. And I said, I want to talk to my counselor. My mom reached out and I talked to him, and he spoke to me for like months. This guy talked to me like he would just call me and check on me. I'd call him. He like, just call me, whatever. And I think he was like in high school. I don't think he was grown, but I was a kid. But I needed somebody to talk to. Because there was no man in the household for me to sit. My dad was gone. He was in the Navy. And he talked to me. And just having a person just who I respected talk to me and give me advice and say, no, do this, do that, boom, boom, boom. You know, stand like that gave me something. So I think we're missing the village in our community as well. Because it's not always the father. It's just a figure. Who's the figure?
Who's the figure?
Who's the figure? It's everlasting. If we don't have our figures, it passes down to our kids. Like, it got to be somewhere.
Who can step up to that plate?
Right.
Right. And I understand. That person may not know what it is. Like I grew up the whole time. I'm thinking my father knew everything as a kid, and then becoming an adult with children of my own, and then you realize that I was so upset with my dad, or not so much upset, but somewhat disappointed. But come to find out that maybe he did not know. You know what I mean? Like maybe he did not have that father figure, which he really did not. So it's like it's like giving grace, man. You know, giving grace because maybe that person didn't know. And it's like it's up to you if like maybe y'all could both learn together.
Listen, and you know it now. If you look back, because we're getting a little older. I ain't that old now, but we're getting a little older now. When we sit back and think about it, like, dang, like now I was 30 years old. That sounded old. When I was 30, when I was 30, a lot of the same thoughts I have right now. Now, there's certain things I used to think that I don't think no more. Right. But like that list is chipping down of me figuring things out. But I realized like adults, parents, because think about it, we were like in high school. Our parents are probably in their 30s. I ain't got it all figured out. So imagine I'm looking at this person who's the same age as me right now saying, I'm trying to get all information from you.
Right.
Shh, you don't even know.
Right.
You don't even know. Like, you might not know either. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where my grace came from. When I realized, dang, you just an older version of yourself or me. And I don't got all the answers. And my son looks at me like I got all the answers.
Right.
So once I realized that, I was like, that's where my grace came from, my father and my mom. I was like, okay, you just an older version of me. And once I started displaying my awareness, they started talking to me for their help.
To be your parents.
Yeah. They started asking me questions. They, my dad's, I did a podcast with him a couple months ago. He was just like, should I call you for help? You know what I mean? Because you got the answers. Or you just, I dig deep into stuff.
Wow.
But it also came from me talking to my friends. I wasn't always this way. You knew me back in the day. I mean, I've always been a great talker, I would say. But you also know I was angry a lot.
Yeah.
But it took me digging deep. It took me exposing myself. I wasn't strong because of my outer. You know what I mean? I'm stronger now because of how I'm on the inside now. I don't feel the need to be as physically strong as I used to be because inside I'm powerful. I know I'm powerful now because I did so much work. But it's work. And that's it. Every black man, even you, broski, like, you got, it's like you say, it's a muscle. You have to do the work.
Do that work.
And you have to, the more you get comfortable exposing yourself, the easier, and when you expose yourself, you have to be acceptable and responsive to what comes back to you.
Right.
It might not be what you want. But once you accept who, what, and where you are as a person.
And not be in denial.
Exactly. Just be who you are.
Accept it,
Listen, sometimes I'm an asshole. But guess what? I'm not confused by it.
Right.
It was a choice I made. So if you say, hey, you being an asshole, I'm like,